We have come to the end of Tranche 2, Phase 2, and the end of Tranche 2, the end of Day 48 of the Undercover Policing Inquiry. The end of the live evidence of HN1, the undercover police officer who used the cover name Matt Rayner to infiltrate animal rights groups in the 1990s. I'm joined by Liz Fuller, who he deceived into a relationship for some time. Liz, what have you made of his evidence today?
Oh, I'm sorry that this isn't very new or imaginative, but pretty well the same as yesterday. Again, just lots of flowery language, denying things. Then when he gets caught up, yet again saying, oh yeah, maybe you're right, I can't remember. And then he got himself in a mess with, was it Jennings? I can't remember. Jenna, that's it, yeah. He sort of got all a bit sort of muddled up and confused there, but he just tends to sort of like dismiss it as, well, you know, yeah, maybe, I don't know. He's most common phrase today, I think, was almost actually, I can't really remember, or it might have been something like that, but I can't recall the specifics. Is basically what he's been saying all day. And yeah, I mean, when he's confronted with things that he has done, yeah, just usually sort of say, no, I didn't. And he says it quite stubbornly, you know, like when I watch it, no, I didn't. You know, and it is like he's got, even though he doesn't show a lot on his face, there is that sort of real steely stubbornness there. So, yeah.
Yeah, he has been incredibly stubborn, particularly even when his evidence contradicts itself. And we've numerous times today and throughout his evidence, he's been presented, he's said one thing whilst being questioned, and then he's been shown, you know, documented evidence. Either it's his reports or his being interviewed by Operation Hearn or his written statement to the inquiry where he said the opposite.
Writing that's his favourite one. Well, I don't actually recall writing those words. And then he also says sometimes, I think he said this yesterday, that they end up sometimes getting edited and they go through another process, and what he actually originally wrote wasn't necessarily like the end report, which I really don't believe for one moment. I mean, you know, you can't do that. Well, I mean, they can. I mean, they do what they like, I suppose. But no, I do believe that he wrote those things. You know, they're sort of very sort of sardonic, sarcastic and caustic. And I think they were largely written to amuse the other officers. And yeah, I mean, they weren't even very informative. I mean, what was the point of them? You know, a lot of it seemed to be written for his own amusement. And I do think they're his because it is the kind of language he uses. So you see what's written down in the documents, you hear him talk, and you think, oh, yeah, you wrote that. You know, it's not as if this language is foreign to you. So, yeah, again, it was just more lies and evasion, I think.
Yes, certainly. I mean, we've heard from a number of the SDS management, back office staff. All of them have said that they didn't do any editing, they didn't do any sanitization. I mean, they also didn't do any typing. They just passed it out to a typing pool to type it up. So, I mean, it looks like they were avoiding work most of the time. The idea they would have changed his reports just doesn't seem to line up.
It doesn't seem very viable, does it? Why would they? And, you know, it's... just why would they? They're not going to change his reports, and it all matches up with the sort of language he uses. And, you know, he's got an incredibly sarcastic smile as well. When he's smiling, he does actually look... It's not a pleasant smile, it's sarcastic. And he sort of laughs things off as if it's all a bit of a joke, really, and a little bit beneath him. And, yeah...
Yeah, I mean, it has been, apart from like the flowery language, I mean, the other thing that's really typified his evidence has been his entitlement and a sense that really he gets, particularly whenever Emma Gargiter sort of put to him something that he felt he'd already answered, he got quite irritated.
Yeah, he sort of, as I've pointed out 3 times sort of thing, or as I've referred to 2 or 3 times, yeah, he does get a bit agitated. And I've noticed that he stopped calling her Emma. Do you remember he kept calling her by her first name? He has stopped doing that. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's realised that it's not ingratiating himself to her, or whether somebody's advised him to, or what the reason for that is. But I remember the first couple of days of evidence, it was, well, if you could just refresh my memory, Emma. And he was all sort of kind. Now he's a lot more dismissive of her, as if like, oh, go away, you silly girl, is kind of, you know, his attitude is sort of almost as if he sees the whole thing as a bit of just a bit of an irritant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he kept referring to this questioning, which he's been compelled to do, as being a conversation. rather than being like a questioning of his wrongdoing, which is at a public inquiry. Just this sort of sense he's got that it's like, well, it's not that important. It's not, and he talks a lot about not being interested in certain topics that he's been questioned on.
Yeah, a lot of the time when they sort of said to him, well, you were aware this happened, were you aware that happened? Oh, well, I didn't really take any notice of that. I wasn't interested. That was just idle gossip. I wasn't interested in that colleague. I didn't take any notice of this. I was just focusing on my job. I, sort of hung out with the more, I'm sorry, I've lost the power of speech now, but he's more sort of competent or trusted colleagues or whatever. And I mean, he already said yesterday, didn't he, anyway, there was a strong sense of competition within the SDS. And then today he was talking about how sort of male it was. I mean, it was just a testosterone fueled misogynistic bunch of bastards, basically, who probably all used to just sit and take the piss out of us. And I think, even in his report, I think he referred to, the groups as the Wearies and stuff like that. And, yeah, he's just generally an unpleasant, very dismissive, disingenuous man.
It has been, I agree. I echo every single word you just said. It has been particularly unpleasant spending time hearing his voice. You've been seeing him on screen, whilst the rest of us have just been able to hear. Have you got any impression of his demeanour? Has it changed at all over the days of questioning?
He smirks. He does tend to sort of smirk rather than smile, and laughs a lot. But it's not, as I said, not a nice laugh. It is rather a sort of sarcastic. Kind of like that. But no, I mean, he just is this very smart, expensively dressed man who flashes his expensive watch at sort of every opportunity. And I mean, to me, he's totally alien. I mean, I can't look at him and think, oh yeah, that was the man that I went out with for 2 years. He's just a total stranger to me, completely.
There was a point in the evidence where we saw the evidence from Gretchen about the fact that she said, well, I decided not to go out with him because every time I asked him questions, he answered in like single syllable answers. And I just couldn't imagine this man who's been using the longest possible syllabled words, the longest possible words generally, the longest possible sentences possible, ever being monosyllabic. It just seemed completely alien. Much like when we had Bob Lambert and people talked about him being charismatic. And I thought, well, I spent 5 days with the least charismatic man in the world.
Yeah. Totally, as you said, drain the energy from the room. Yeah, I don't know why. He said that he was being monosyllabic with her, didn't he? Yeah, because he didn't particularly want her to go on the journey with him. But then, she said that he asked her, and then there was there's more stuff. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about it though, about a citizen's arrest and him just that's it. Yeah, and he just walked away and looked back but didn't try to help her or do anything to stop it happening. And I don't know, I mean, I think when I went out with him, sorry that I use that term loosely, when he was tired and stressed out, he did get a bit monosyllabic, he could be a bit sort of impatient. And so, possibly that was the truth. It might have been the only bit of truth he told in the whole inquiry. But I think that's true of everybody, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just him, it's true of everyone. So,
When John Mitting made the ruling that you were allowed to see him give evidence, one of the reasons he cited is that it would help give you closure of some sort. Has it in any way?
No, not really, because I still don't know his name. And I don't know why that's important to me to know, but it just is. I mean, why should I accept that I had this relationship and had sex with a man whose name I don't even know? And I want to know more about him. I mean, I don't want to meet him particularly. I don't want to interfere with his family life. I don't want any revenge, but I kind of want to know who he is, what he does. How long he's been married, does he have children? I want to know about this person because he knows everything about me, and it just seems a real power imbalance. And it was a power imbalance from the start anyway, because I think he targeted me for issues we talked about last time. And when you look at his sort of kind of well, whatever he's told me about, and he's just his seniority and just everything about him. There is just a real power imbalance between us. I mean, I think that really he probably secretly despised me. I can't really imagine that he had any interest in me. I mean, he quite often talks about his wife's busy profession, whereas at the time I was only a part-time nurse, and most of the time I spent going on demos. I just earned enough money to pay the rent, buy food, and that was it, whereas he seems to admire his wife for having a very busy profession. And, you know, also, you know, I've seen what he's written about the places that I lived in, and, you know, yeah, at the time he used to say to me, oh, it's okay, you know, I've lived in far worse places than this. I've had to share a place where we only had a shower curtain as a door for the toilet, and yeah, all the time he was writing this stuff about me, and so no, it hasn't really given me any closure. All I know is what he looks like now he's aged, and that is all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
No, I mean, I think the power imbalance really is the story of the SDS, of the Spycops, of this inquiry. Every aspect of it has really sort of brought into focus this huge power imbalance that exists, and the fact that we really get the impression that all these officers despise the women that they deceived, and that it required that level of hatred to be to be so awful. I mean, like I try and express with all the reporting I do just genuinely how awful these men have behaved towards everybody, but particularly the women they deceived. And I mean, I say this about every single officer we hear from, but I think this is the worst one yet. And he's certainly, like right now, I can't. He's been so awful, and it must have been so difficult to go through what you had to by watching him for all this time that you have over these last 2 days. But then there was the 3 days before. What a fucking bastard. I mean,
that's it, Tom.
Yeah.
Fucking bastards. Yeah, I think we should end on that.
Yeah, fair play. Well, thanks for joining. That is the last day of Tranche 2. I'll do a Twitter Spaces tonight, but that's it for this stage of the inquiry. The next stage of the inquiry will be in October. There might be some closing statements sometime in May, maybe not. If there are, I'll cover them. I'll do some podcasts over the summer. I'll try and sort of update some of the information we've learned. So look out for that. If anybody's got any requests for what I should be covering over the summer whilst there's the inquiry sitting, get in touch. But thanks for joining.
Can we all just say it again? What a fucking bastard!
What a fucking bastard! Yes, what a fucking bastard. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.